Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. For those of you who don't know, I started Grumpy Old Fart to express my political and social opinions and to say things that I felt needed to be said. Unfortunately, YouTube started giving me strikes. As a hedge against this happening, I have created backup YouTube channels, Grumpy Old Gamer and Grumpy Old Ufologist. I also created a channel called Grumpy Old Fart over on Rumble, a free speech alternative to YouTube. You can find all of my stuff there, including my political opinion and current events. The link to my Rumble channel, as well as links to let you order my books, are in the description of this video. If you enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I welcome your comments, even if you disagree with me. Now, on with the video. Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing a military blunders video on Santa Anna's Texas campaign. For those of you who aren't aware or aren't really big history buffs, Texas was part of Mexico. They declared their independence prior to the Civil War, and then they later became part of the United States. And then they left again during the Civil War, to join the Confederacy. And then, of course, they came back after, and Texas is a great state. Anybody who's ever been there, the people are wonderful. Everything about it is good. There's not a bad thing about Texas that I can think of, except maybe there's too many Democrats. Other than that, it's really, really good because it's brilliant. What I'm talking about now is when Texas left Mexico, they declared their independence for Mexico and became an independent republic. And the Mexicans weren't real. The Mexican military and the Mexican government wasn't real happy about that. So the Texicans kicked all of the Mexican army out of Texas, and Santa Anna went to reclaim it. General Santa Anna of Mexico wanted to keep Texas as part of Mexico. The Texas citizens wanted to be an independent republic. The Texians kicked the Mexican army out of Texas, and so Santa Anna gathered an army of over 6,000, and his target was the old mission, the Alamo, at the political center of Texas at the time, a town called Bexar. And I think right now that's around San Antonio. Which makes sense because that's where the Alamo is. Okay. Rather than advance along the coast where he could receive supplies and reinforcements by sea, Santa Anna chose to turn inland toward Bexar. His men were raw recruits who could not aim their muskets, and they resisted firing from the shoulder due to the recoil. His officers were training the men en route. Many of his civilian teamsters quit when their pay was delayed. Supplies were scarce, and there were not enough mules to carry it all. The entourage of women and children who followed his army further strained his supplies. His men were reduced to partial rations. He started his march in December of 1835, and by February, the freezing temperatures and 15 to 16 inches of snow hampered the Mexican army. Hypothermia, dysentery, and Comanche Indian raids took their toll. Santa Anna sent troops to prevent reinforcements from arriving to the Alamo, but refused any negotiations except for unconditional surrender. He was flying the blood red flag, meaning no quarter, meaning there was going to be no mercy. That's not a good way to start out. Well, let's get on with the video, and I'll get to the end here shortly. Santa Anna was reinforced with 1,000 fresh soldiers, which, I would imagine along the way, between all the things that were happening, they probably lost a lot of guys, and he was reinforced with 1,000 fresh soldiers. The Battle of the Alamo is iconic. It's a piece of American history, especially in Texas. The assault lasted 13 days and cost the Mexican army, depending on who you listen to, between 400 and 1,600 dead and wounded. But the savagery employed by the Mexican army spurred the Texians to rally, and at the Battle of San Jacinto 2 months later, the Mexican army was surprised and routed in 18 minutes. Santa Anna was captured and the war was over. There's so many things Santa Anna did wrong here. Let's look at what he did wrong. Pretty much everything. He did not train his men properly. His men were not trained. Logistics and supplies were lacking. In this case, they were a joke. The route he chose prevented resupply easily, and when you're marching that many men, you got to have supplies. Logistics becomes not only nice but a necessity. Logistics is important in every army. The old adage, an army travels on its stomach. Oh my God, it's true. It's absolutely true. He brought an entourage which stretched his supplies. Who brings women and children on a military campaign? This guy fancied himself aristocracy, I guess, and decided that he was going to bring all of his women and their children and blah, 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 maids and housekeepers and blah, blah, blah with, I don't know what all it was. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. All I know is those people had to be fed. And when your supplies are stretched thin, the last thing you want is more people to feed. Should have left him home. That's all I'm saying. He chose to march in winter knowing that bad weather would hamper him. In World War II, the Nazis were hampered by the Russian winter. They had mechanized, tanks and trucks and like that. Imagine marching through all of that. Imagine marching through all of that. It boggles the mind. Sorry, doggy emergency. Where was I? Okay. He could have taken the Alamo with no bloodshed because they were negotiating. Had he negotiated, he could have taken it without losing a man. But he wanted to make a statement to convince the Texians to surrender. I learned a long time ago, in Texas, if you're going to do it, just do it. You don't make a statement. You don't slap a Texas person, a person from Texas. You do not slap a Texan. You don't do it. Santa Anna learned that the hard way. The statement that he made spurred the Texians to rally and fight harder. Texas people have pride, and they have pride for a reason. They earned it. Most people I know from Texas are hardworking, good, solid Americans. They have the backbone prevalent in all of America. And you cannot slap anyone in America, especially a Texan, and them not seek retribution. If you punch a Texan, you're going to get punched back. It's just the way it is. Santa Anna learned that the hard way. So he did pretty much everything wrong on his march into Texas, and he won the Battle of the Alamo. But the way he did it pissed off the Texians, and they fought back harder. He was defeated in 18 minutes. It's got to be some kind of record. I'm just saying. Hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good day. God bless one and all.